Okay. Welcome to Women of Color 2020. I'm Marsha Juice, your personal tour guide through this historic virtual experience. This is the first 100% virtual Women of Color STEM conference, and we are so excited that you could experience this with us. This year's theme is Reset to Rise. The world is counting on us, and we need your participation to make this conference come to life. So hit that like button, leave us comments, and share this page with your friends. What's in it for you? One of the most important aspects of this conference is getting to know some of these amazing women in STEM. And there are a lot of them. How they impact the world and our future. Every year, the Women of Color STEM Conference makes you aware of these accomplished professionals, and we showcase their stories. Over the next 3 days, we'll have an opportunity to speak with some of these participants from this year's conference, and we hope that you will join us for the conversation. Be sure to connect with us on social media. Check out on Facebook, Instagram, and Women of Color STEM at WOCSTEM. And don't forget to use the hashtag WOC2020 when you're sharing your WOC experience online, also known as Women of Color. Please join us over the next 3 days as we cover a few highlights of what's going on during this year's exciting experience. In order to really get the full experience, you'll have to attend the conference yourself. So whatever you do, go to the website, turn on your friends, make sure that they know that you're here and that what we're doing. And it's www.womenofcolor.net, www.womenofcolor.net. Make sure you do that today. Thank you so much. And I am so excited because I have a couple of colleagues with me. And I hope that they're ready to show up. Yes, they are. Ray Kennedy, managing editor of Women of Color magazine. Hey, Ray, how you doing?
Hey, Marsha, how you doing?
I am doing fine. And I also understand that we have Lango Deen. She's a technology editor for Career Communications Group. Lango, are you with us?
Yes, I am, Marsha.
How you doing, Lango?
Hi, Ray.
Hey, everybody. So
this is really wonderful.
I'm excited. I feel like I'm on camera right now with two Women of Color legends, and this has been well. I know the history, and I know you guys have been with this program and this conference for a long time, and I'm just excited to be here.
Well, we're excited to have you because that magazine is fabulous. Why don't we talk about the mission of the Women of Color magazine and what you are hoping that the takeaway will be, and how people can subscribe and how people can submit articles or information that might be helpful, press releases and that type of thing. And what are you trying to do with it? What would you like that goal to be, or what is the goal for that publication?
Lango, you want to go or you want me to start?
Do you want to start, Ray, and then
yeah.
I can come up behind you.
Yeah, sure. I'll start. So the Women of Color STEM magazine is a women's lifestyle magazine. And so our goal is to provide articles and tips. We want to highlight women in STEM who are doing amazing things. We want to give work-life balance articles, tips, things that kind of help enlighten and kind of give knowledge to women or working women, women in STEM careers. And so the one of the best things about doing this magazine is you just get to read and you get to talk to and you get to interview some of the greatest minds in this country, and then you get to come to this conference and you get to meet these faces. And a lot of the time it's a little weird because we read these profiles, we write these stories, and these people, but they don't know you, and like you're seeing them and you're getting like starstruck, like, oh my God, like you're Donna Bell or you're Pamela McCauley, and like they, before, well, both of those names, I think we have a good relationship now. But before, you just walk up to them and like, you went to this school and you did this, and like they're like, who are you? You got to like go backtrack. And so I think that's one of the and so that's one of the most fun things, is just kind of getting to learn these stories and tell these stories, so that the next generation can see, there's people that look like them, that come from the same background, that might be going through similar struggles, and then they're able to see someone who's like them, and they know that there's a pathway for success. And so that's one of the coolest things. I
think you really hit it. The pathway that, sometimes you have to see yourself, right? Mm-hmm. And if you can't see yourself there, it's kind of hard to even imagine what being there means.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Right? So how do you pull that out of the people that you're interviewing to make sure that you're getting reaching your goals and objectives for the publication?
So one of the coolest things, and Lango, I'll let you kind of weigh in here. So when we do our interviews, Lango and I we do a tag team, what we call, our tag in. And so Lango, who's been our tech editor for many, many years, she's kind of, she's going to nail you down on the tech part. And then I'm kind of the humanity person. So I'm coming to you live now. How does this make you feel? Everybody can look up most of the people we cover in this magazine. You can Google their resume, their bios. They all are amazing people who do great things. And so usually when I focus on my questions, it's kind of, what's the human? Who's the person behind? Like, what can't you find on the internet? And so I kind of like doing that part. And then Lango, I'll let you talk about kind of your approach.
Thanks, Ray. I attended my first conference in 2003. I think it was in Nashville, Tennessee, and then or was it Atlanta, Georgia? I can't remember now. It's been a minute, and I've been doing the physical conferences since. So it was 2003 right through to 2010. And then I think my last conference was, I'm not sure whether it was Dallas, Texas or Detroit. I think it was Detroit in 2014. And I've been attending virtually ever since, online ever since. But, what I've taken away all of those years is, okay, I think we were talking about this earlier today. You can only wear one hat at a time. So at the conference, you're getting with excitement because you're meeting all these fabulous people with fascinating professional stories and personal stories as well. So you do that part, and then of course but before you get to the conference, you've written some of their stories, because the nomination packages come in, and you read through tons and tons of nomination packages with wonderful recommendation letters and biographies, and every page you're just wowed by what people have achieved and their stories. The stories always, Ray, it's the stories that always get to you. And to turn it a little bit to Marsha now, because she was there from year one, because we're year 25 now, and I came in 2003. So I wondered for her what she took away, in those very early years, how it came together, and what she took away in those early years, and what she's been coming back ever since, and what it's been for her, through 25 years of just excellence, really.
You're funny. I thought I was supposed to be interviewing people. Ask me so. Y'all funny.
Marsha, it's funny because I was literally about to ask if you would mind if I switched the table a little bit, because I wanted to ask you, what was it like, coming up with the idea and the concept? Because what was it, 96? I would have been 5 maybe. But
how old I am.
I didn't mean to do that, but I am curious as to what the beginning was. Like, how did this start? Like, how did this come about?
Wow. Well, I think it really started when I was working for Career Communications Group full time. And we were just knee deep in BEA, right? BEA, Black Engineer of the Year Awards conference, which I think is one of the most powerful, now that we have women of color, but it's one of the 2 most powerful conferences for people of color in technology in the world. And I've been to a lot of conferences. But one of the things that struck me was I wasn't seeing a lot of the nomination packages in the Black Engineer of the Year selection committee, which is a real big deal. So when you see the winners on the stage for the women of color, or the women on the stage, or men and women on the stage for the Black Engineer of the Year, didn't nobody just give them that. They had to go through an arduous process. People from across the nation and around the world, from some of the largest to the smallest institutions, from education, private institutions, foundations, and corporations, send a representative to actually sit on their selection committee. It is no joke. They're sequestered for like 3 or 4 days. Those packages are they're huge. They're huge. Everything you ever want to know about a person is there now. And they probably do electronic now because I haven't been doing that since 1999. But
yeah,
those packages were huge, and everything you could ever imagine. And every single person that attended and sat at those selection tables had to read every single one, right?
Yeah.
And they had to read every single one, and then they had to then make a point. They had to go and lay out on a sheet and scores and give scores, and then it trickles down to a certain number, and then they had another review process. So they had to review what those scores were, the top scores were, the mid scores, and then at the end, somebody had to champion you that was part of the selection committee and pitch the reason why that person should be the top winner, or whatever the other winners is, like 20 something awards. But you had to pitch to all these people.
Yeah.
Who come from different backgrounds, different expectations, different opinions. And some of those conversations would get heated. It was almost comical. Like, yeah, but he doesn't have some, and she doesn't have this, and they don't have this. This one's got a PhD, got 4 PhDs or something. It was crazy. And I didn't really, when I did the first one, I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. But when I sat there, man, I was so proud to walk out of there, literally. And I mean this from the bottom of my heart. And big kudos to Tyrone Taborn and Gene Hamilton, the owners of this company. I walked out of there proud to be employed at Career Communications Group. And so 30 years later, or however many years later, I'm still here coming in hosting things, but I'm still here. And I'm still here because this is so important. But there were a group of women who we all used to get together at the Black Engineer, and we'd sit down and we'd all catch up. And somebody was with Cisco, Dixie Garr, Pamela McCauley, who's still with us, and she was the Women of Color of the Year last year, and Judy Smith and several other women. There was a woman from Hughes that she's passed now, but there were probably about 20 of us. And we were sitting around and saying, we really need to do something about that with women. And we did the first one. Tyrone and Jean said, okay, let's do it. And then they say, but you got to do it, make sure, it's got to be the standard that Career Communications, that expectation. And so don't come in here with no foolishness, right? And they're very honest about their expectations, which is real. Yeah. And the first one was at the Willard Hotel in Washington, D.C. And we had 100. We said we're going to do 100 women. And if they show up, then we're on to something. And they showed up. It was packed. Then the next one, we went to this hotel. I'm not going to say the name of the chain, but it left you kind of like, yeah, okay, whatever. We're not doing that again. And so there were people that we all knew in Atlanta, and that were in very senior levels at Coca-Cola, Ingrid Sandra Jones, and I can't remember the woman who was the president of UPS's foundation, and a couple of other women. I mean, they were with the utility companies. I mean, they were big. They were doing some serious work now. I was really proud of them, and I knew them. So we all got together. They said, okay, well, you come down here and we'll make it happen. And they did. And even I had left the company, but they still carried on down there. And I think they left and then went to Dallas. And then now they're in Detroit. But the Women of Color was because there was a boy. And we knew that there were women because we were sitting with them. We were friends. And we knew that there were women that we needed to make sure, without having to dilute anything or try to make some changes that were not necessary with Bea, this is worthy of its own conference. And these women deserve to have this and to make certain that the world knows who they are and what they've done and why they've done it. And I've observed it for years, even though I may or may not have been here. It has stayed true to form. And I'm just really, and all of us, because we talk every time we get together about how great this really is. And did you hear about this woman? And she was doing something over here. And this woman, she created this and she wrote that and she developed this. And so too often, you know, women are still fighting for equity, right? We're all fighting for equity. We're all fighting for diversity, and we're all fighting for inclusion. Well, it takes these kinds of programs, from Women of Color, STEM, to Black Engineer of the Year Awards Conference, to make sure that, listen, you know, the fight is real. And we're looking at it. We've got technology now, so you can see all the madness full time all over the world, right? Yeah. There has to be a place, a safe place. There has to be a safe place where you can learn more. You have the most incredible panel discussions and educational programs that are coming out of both of these conferences. Women of Color Conference, you can get college credits, you know, for attending some of these conferences. I don't think they're called college credits, but there's some kind of CIU or CRU. Y'all know better than I do. Whatever the name of those credits are that can apply to whatever your degrees are. And so this is what we need to be able to do, to be able to sit with your company, your corporation, who has said, just by virtue of the fact that all of these major corporations are here this weekend in a virtual world, they still made the investment because these corporations are committed to diversity, inclusion, and equity. And so it takes the vision, it takes the commitment that, you know, Tyrone and Jean could have said, okay, well, we did it once and, you know, that's fine. We're going to stick with this. But they saw it. They knew it as soon as it happened. And they've carried it on for 25. They've made an investment into this conference for 25 years. Not only that, but all of those corporations who've been here from the beginning, either by sending their staff or by setting up a booth or by buying an ad in the Women of Color magazine, they have demonstrated their commitment to this organization. And you have to have their commitment because you can't do it without your partners. And they have people here who are winning. I mean, we have a ton of women who are winning awards, from a luncheon award, an evening award, a big dinner award, a breakfast award. But it's necessary. Yeah. You can't give one award and you have all these people here. You have to be able, to me, in this world where we are today, and on a job, be it whatever, be it in government, be it with the military, be it with an educational institution, with corporate America, or even small business employees, you want people to see you. You want your employees or your employers or your coworkers to see you, to see the work that you've done, the commitment that you've made, for your brain to be able to create and design and build and all these things. Somebody was talking to Textron earlier about women who are actually designing these I don't know what they are. Uber's getting ready to have some kind of little bitty mini plane that's going to be able to fly you around wherever, right? That's a woman that's doing that, right? And how do you keep that going if you're not seen, if you have a boss that has 5,000 employees all over the world, how does that person see you? How is it even possible for a CEO or the lead or the director or a VP of a division to even see you if you're working over in Europe somewhere or Africa somewhere and they can't see your work? And if nobody sends a letter that says, oh, this person has created this and we're making $12 billion on this one project, if you don't see it, they'll see that division made $12 billion, but they don't know that it may be a particular person who did it, who had that seed, who had that creativity, who saw how to do it better. Until a lot of times it create these types of environments, women of color being in a position where you actually can sit there and hear their story. And many of these people just made it happen, right? Their brilliance was they were able to stir the pot, and God helped them navigate this. But many of them go unnoticed if there aren't places like the Women of Color or the Black Engineer of the Year Awards Conference to be able to see them. The Technologist of the Year is in the military. And so she had to do a lot to be there. I think she's in the Navy or something. And I'm sorry, I don't have her name with me right now, but we need to see everybody that's here. The world needs to see them. And quite frankly, they also need to be elevated, and they also need to be able to grow within that corporation into larger leadership roles. And so that's why it's here. That's why it's here, to acknowledge the brilliance and celebrate it.
Marsha, you knocked it out of the park, and I do want to apologize because it feels weird being on this side of the interview, and so it felt natural to kind of flip it. But you touched on a lot, and this year's Technologist of the Year, as you can see on the screen, is Rear Admiral Sylvia Trent Adams, who is amazing. If you guys have not seen or read about, if you guys have not seen the magazine. It's available on the conference app. If you guys go to Agenda, I think it is, or one of the tools, you can pull down a magazine. You can also go to our publication website, which is womenofcolor.online. Now, I know that sounds weird because it's usually .com, but it's womenofcolor.online, and that will take you to our publication site. You can always see the most recent magazine, and you can also subscribe for a physical copy.
Oh, great.
And so, yeah, absolutely, and all that's there on the webpage if you guys want to subscribe. You can also make sure you follow us on all of our social media pages: Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. I believe it's WOC STEM. But I did want to comment because you said a lot, Marsha.
I'm that talkative in high school, so
Hey, and that's a blessing. That's a blessing. But you talked about women of color being a voice and a play in a safe space, and I think that's what the goal of the magazine. The magazine is a tool of the conference, or vice versa, and this magazine tells those stories. We're always looking for stories. We're always looking for the next inspiration thing, because the more we can tell those stories, the more people we can reach, the more people can identify and kind of see themselves inside these people that we profile. We were just flipping through the magazine, and we have all these. I think we have over 40 winners, if I'm not mistaken, and all of them have such a great story. You talked about the selection committee, and let me tell you, thank God it is digital now, because those packages that she was telling, those life stories, there'll be binders this thick. And we're here in Baltimore, we would have to take those, they would mail those packages to us, and we would have to take in large bins over to the hotels. And when I say we, I mean me, like me. I was the one that was carrying those boxes. And so I think the last 2 or 3 years, we've gone digital with those selection committees. And so that's been such a blessing. But that is also a tribute to the people who are nominating and how amazing these winners are, that they can fill a binder. And it's not fluff. Like, these are like,
right.
their achievements, like their careers, like in this, and so it's amazing. And so I got my workout in. I'm a little stronger, uh, but yeah, those packages were amazing. And shouts out to our selection committee this year, all the past people who have done it, because those aren't easy reads and those aren't easy decisions, because everyone nominated is amazing, and so it's kind of hard to kind of thread that needle and figure out who's going to be our winner, because they're all amazing. And we want to try to tell as many stories as we can.
And it really is, because you could hear the people grumbling in the different rooms, in the breakout. Well, wait a minute, you see how big this thing is? Wait a minute, and then you get in it, and then they're like, whoa, man, look at this. Girl, that's right?
Yeah.
Because it's so exciting. We don't know about them. We don't see them, right?
Yeah.
And so to be able to say, yeah, I see you.
Mm-hmm.
We see you. We see what you're doing, and we're proud of you.
Yeah.
And we're proud that you've been able to do that. So this is a legacy that this company has, that it keeps just the whole, I guess it's, for me, it is the whole reason why I'm still committed in 2020 from 1990. Somehow I have come in here some kind of way, because I can't let it go. This is a powerful, powerful program. And I'm just honored to have been able to be working with the organization at that time when it came about.
Marsha,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, actually, Lango, I was about to ask Marsha permission to ask you a question. Because I don't want to take over the interview, but Lango.
We already did that. This is family. So go on. How everybody just talks over everybody at the dinner table. Then we're gonna talk.
I was just gonna say, to your point, when you talk, giving that background, that really glorious background, as I call it, of how Women of Color came about. And many of those women that you mentioned, I have had the good fortune to meet. And what you notice about them, recently we talked to Dr. Donna Bell, who's, I think, the 2018 Technologist of the Year. Mm-hmm. And it was on another forum. One of the things she said was that something she always tells her mentees now is that you always show up as who you are. So you're showing up as a woman, you're showing up as an engineer, you're showing up as a scientist, whether you're a rocket scientist or an industrial engineer like Dr. Pamela Macaulay Bell, or you are a semiconductor manufacturing engineer like is it Zeloin Lur with Texas Instruments? It doesn't matter what you do or how many patents you have, you're showing up with all of those things as a rounded person. So it was always important to see, for these young people to see how rounded these people were. Yeah. They didn't have square edges at all. They were really rounded. They could laugh, at the funniest joke. They could be serious. They were really round. They were real people. They weren't Teflon. They were real people. So that was really good to see. And I know that, here we are, cross generational, having this cross generational conversation. And we hope that, and this morning when we were doing this program with the K-12 program, it's a very important part. And Donna Bell was there as well, because she takes this professionals in the classroom program that's part of the Women of Color Conference. And it was so important to see these four engineers, I think there were 4 or 3, and they didn't helicopter in. Because sometimes, the things with STEM programs is you just land there for a couple of days and then you're out again. But one thing I like about Women of Color is it's able to build these lasting partnerships. So even when they're not there on the ground, you have Women of Color ambassadors, as I like to call them, who are doing a good job of keeping that story going 365 days a year, so to speak. So, and they're able to connect to the young people now. I mean, here we have this COVID-19 situation. Our 2020 Technologists of the Year, who could be better to tell you about all the health problems, talk about public health. She worked in the U.S. Public Commission Corps for what, 20, 25, 30 years. So who could be better to talk about that? But also we're hearing about, the kids having, okay, they're being given devices and they're able to log on, but I didn't know the buses had to go into neighborhoods with boxes on board of these buses so that they could keep kids in that neighborhood connected to the internet, so they could do their homework, so they could talk to their teachers, they could have these online what do you call it, the online classes and lessons that they're supposed to be having now. So we have all these things going on, and thank God for women of color, right? Thank God for women of color. They're able to bring all these pieces and parts together, and they're able to touch so many lives and keep on doing that for the next 25 years.
Well, I'll tell you something. We have to really be very focused on our young people. And one of the other products that Career Communications has is the Technology Awareness Program. And Tyrone created that started with Black Family Technology Awareness Week. And that was back in the 90s, mid 90s. And here we are still talking about the digital divide, that you have to have a bus that has some sort of internet connectivity, because a lot of people still in 2020 do not have connectivity in their home. Or now with COVID, they can't even go anywhere to use it without putting themselves or their children at risk.
Yeah. And I think we said something about that, Marsha, yesterday, that COVID just kind of reignited the conversation. And it kind of highlighted the issue. And even if they do have internet at home, if you got multiple kids, do you have multiple devices, or can your internet even hold up to it? There's a lot that goes into that digital divide conversation, that it's not just having access. It is about having access. Like, it's all about access.
To the connectivity and to the equipment. And the thing that's really interesting, Larry Irving, Tyrone and I read his report back in the day, came out of the Department of Commerce under Ron Brown. And you can still find that report, which is why Tyrone created Technology Awareness Week. But at that time, he created Black Family Technology Awareness Week. And in that report, it's called Falling Through the Net. That report, under Ron Brown's leadership as secretary, is still relative today. And Larry Irving, I met with him on something else. He said, I'm talking about falling through the net still. You should have I'm going to set it up. I want you all to have an interview with him. I want to, for both of those publications. He's still talking and traveling all over, talking about that report in 2020. And it came out in mid 90s. We still are not able, there you go, the digital divide. And you have you have the article. Is that in Women of Color?
I'm not sure what magazine that is, but it's definitely.
Yeah. But it's talking about, it says, without a net, the digital divide in whatever. Oh, it came out of U.S. Black Engineer magazine. Yeah. Digital divide.
That's the website.
Yep. And it's huge. It's just huge. And so how do we make sure that every young girl and every young boy has access and they can do all the things that they need to do? We're doing distance learning. Children are now at home. So if you don't have the connectivity at home and they don't have it in your school because your zip code does not give you that kind of connection on many levels, right? Because you're financially underserved and you are digitally underserved and your equipment underserved. And so, we do all these wonderful things. We have all these big, programs and special events, and we need to start looking at how that money needs to go and change the face of how people are supporting young girls and young boys with the digital divide. And it's huge. It is huge. It is huge. And why are we still talking about something from the 90s That's 30 some years. Are you serious?
Yeah.
We're still having that conversation and people are still having him come to talk about falling through the net. Are you serious?
Yeah.
In rural and urban America, that's where the problems lie.
Yeah.
Well,
And
I think the hope now is that we always knew that these problems existed, and we're talking about them for some time. I mean, the award winners talk about them. Not only are they winning patents, creating, inventing things for different inventions, innovations, they're also giving back. So they're part of their communities in many, many ways where, they're mentors in STEM programs, science, technology, engineering, and math programs, over and over again. So you hear the same story over and over again in 100 plus 1,000 different communities that they're part of. But the hope is now that COVID-19 has opened up the eyes of the world to these problems that we've been talking about for the past 25, 30 years.
Right.
I hope that more will be done to ensure that every kid has access to the computer, to a computer, to the internet. They're able to do their work. They're able to come to conferences like this all the time, whether it's virtually or physically. It's important to be part of something like this. If you've been doing this since you were like in the third grade or fourth grade, the value that it adds to you is just immeasurable. It's just immeasurable.
That's right. Well, one thing I think that Career Communications Group, the parent to all of these amazing products, right, is the Foundation for Educational Development. And within that organization, you have the Technology Awareness Program. And so that's a wonderful way for corporations to insert themselves and get involved in real time kinds of activities. And so I don't know all what they're doing now, but they're still there and it's a great resource.
Yeah. So when I came to CCG straight out of college in 2012, and the TAP program, the Technology Awareness Program, was basically my first assignment. And I got to go around with Ty Taborn and Anna Bertrand, and we would go to we would call it our summer tour because we would to visit different HBCUs, and it was kind of cool because you get to travel and you get to set up the program. It's a technology awareness program where we get to meet with high schoolers at Southern University or high schoolers at Jackson State and like all these different schools, and you get to see them. And so, mind you, this is the summertime, right? So kids in high school aren't really trying to be in a academic setting, right? This is the summer. And so you got the kids, they're uninterested and, they have kind of, attitude that the parents just dropped them off. But the best thing that, like, my favorite part is by day 3, when they leave after we do all the events, we have people come and talk to them. We play games and we keep them interested because they're with us for 5-6 hours a day.
Wow.
And on that third day, that Friday, they didn't want to leave. Like, we would take them on tours around the campus. They would meet professors. They would meet with the engineering department, the deans. We would have, people from our partner companies come in and kind of talk to them. And just to see that change over 3 days from just not wanting to be here to like not wanting to leave. And like some of them in tears, like it was like one of the most powerful things. One of the greatest experience. And so, the TAP program, like we still try to do that. We also have like the pre-college program that's run by Anna Bertrand. And, we even today and yesterday, we'd have the Teachers in the Classroom program. Now, obviously, we can't be in the classrooms now because we're here, we're digital. But like even having like the kids join in on the Zoom calls, because I got to sit in on a couple of them today and just listen to the professionals kind of talk and kind of describe their background to them. And many of them were from Detroit, so like they're talking to kids in Detroit, and they're like, I went to this high school, and it's like, oh, I know this high school, like I'm there. It's like it's automatically a connection, and just telling them, what they do, and just making them aware that like there's things that you can do anything. And so, just letting them know that like the product, the phone that you have, you can make this. Like, you don't have to just be a consumer or just a user. Like, the websites, you can code, like you can do this stuff. One of my favorite things, and I'm happy like when I talk to kids because I love video games.
Okay.
But did you know that the godfather of video games is a black man named Jerry Lawson? We
No.
wouldn't have in-home video games if it wasn't for Jerry Lawson. And basically he created this system. It was called a Fairchild Channel F. And it was this system. It wasn't really a video game. It was kind of like an adjuster for the TV screens, because back then you had the color, the color. You had to adjust the color on the TV, but it was cartridge based. And so basically, the beginning game systems used his model as like the cartridge based for video games to hook up to TVs, and eventually you didn't have to go to arcades and all that. But like kids, like they love video games, they're consumers, but like it's usually you gotta let them know that like that next step, like you can make this.
Yes. Is that you? Like, yeah.
I really love when you tell this story, because there you are. Oh man, how old were you back then? You look like you were 15.
That's like 23, 24. That's like fresh out of college.
I'm teasing. Yeah, fresh out of college. You just love it. I love when you tell that story, because the thing is, it's the way that, video games, people think, oh, it's just having fun on video games. But when you come to conferences like this, you see these really serious companies like how Lockheed Martin uses video games in their work. They call it serious games, but it's like the skills that you need to be able to do stuff like that, right?
Wow.
And the kids are getting it now. So they know that coding isn't just for making video games. They're going to make billions of dollars, in commercial marketing. It's also making those serious games that are helping save lives. I mean, some of the stuff that they use to plan for when they talk about contact tracing, that's really, they use video games and stuff like that for COVID-19, and planning how you respond to, fires, or emergencies like that, whether it's in an urban area or in a rural area. So getting those skills through your coding is just fantastic. And the kids are getting that right now. And, kudos to the work that Ray and his team and Anna and everybody else are doing. The message is getting through.
Yeah.
I think that part of learning is, people have to, we sit down and talk about how we're going to build this whole community of engineers and, bring in all these young people of color. But these children have to see themselves there. It's one thing to see other people, but you also need to see people who look like you so that you can at least feel that it's possible. And especially if you're in an environment where you don't have the opportunity to see all these amazing people. Somehow we have to get to them, which is what FEDE does and the Technology Awareness Program. You have to see people. You have to see what's possible. If you don't see the possibilities, then it's hard for you to see yourself creating them, let alone playing with them if you don't even know what they are. So this is a wonderful, wonderful organization. And I just love looking at all these women who are here this weekend and looking at their bios and the things that they've done. It's just amazing. And it just keeps getting bigger and better every year. Even if we have COVID, we're still rocking, right?
You can't stop this train. Like we're gonna figure this out, and we're gonna get together, and we're gonna have our moments, and we're gonna have our safe space. Right. You can't stop it. Like we're gonna get together, and we're gonna make this thing happen no matter what. And that's kind of been the drive that Dr. T has been preaching. Like we have to make this happen.
And let me tell you something. The magazine looks fabulous. It really is. I need to get my little order in. Can you give me a subscription?
Oh, I got you, Marsha. I'll take care of you.
It's beautiful. You guys have done a great job. I love it.
Yeah, that's all the teamwork, just coming together and kind of pulling all this together, talking to everybody, pulling the right content to kind of tell the right story. Lango is phenomenal. I'm in awe every time she puts pen to paper because she knows how to capture the story. And Lango, if you don't mind me bragging, Lango sees the story while we're talking about it. Like
Right.
when we're doing the interview, the story's done in her head before we hang up the phone, and like I see it translate for what the last 8 years, and it's just amazing to kind of watch her go to work, and that's how you know that like she truly loves what she does.
Oh yeah.
Thank you, Ray. Thank you so much, Ray. You know what? We all here know that, you know, Dr. T and Lady Jean, as I like to call it, they've done a fantastic job, of course, so over many, many years, you know, having a platform like this. But I think when it comes to the vision for the magazine, and I think the best storyteller really is Dr. T.
For sure.
The way he tells the story, so he would look at something and he would see the holes in it. But we haven't told this, and you know, he will tell you what to do. And you just say, okay, and you go away and you think about it. So as I'm thinking, how would he tell this story? What would he say? What would he see? So that is going on in my head. And but Ray is downplaying his role as well, because Ray, over the past 8-10 years, Ray has brought a youthful millennial type of vision and outlook to everything we do, so that everything that was done in 1996 is made new for every decade. It's made new all the time. So if we were talking about the decade between 2000 and 2010, well, then we did the decade 2010 to 2020. Guess what? Ray's already looking towards that decade, heading towards 2030, because that's his vision. So he's constantly, you know, making everything new. Yeah.
That's wonderful. Look, you know, Career Communications Group has an amazing team from the front of the house, the back of the house, and everything in between. People there, everybody, every person that's employed there, and everybody who's a contractor is family. And everybody is committed to this organization and its mission. And you don't hear about that often. But this is an unusual place, and I'm just grateful and honored to be still a part of it.
Mm-hmm. Marsha and Lango, I have a question for the both of you. This is the 25th Women of Color STEM Conference. What has been your favorite moment? Your favorite moment, not your necessarily favorite person, but what has been your favorite moment over the last 25 years for the Women of Color Conference?
Well, for me, it's seeing the kids. I mean, I'm loving the winners and the people who attend, but I'm loving the young people that come, the young girls, and not just in a program, but when people bring their children and looking at the faces of the young people who are in awe of everything that they see. That really gets me excited.
Yeah.
You have to see yourself.
Yeah.
If you can see yourself there, it's hard to imagine doing that.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Lango?
Well, you know, I always like to say I have the global eyes. I was born in Black Africa and lived in Europe for a time. I worked there, Western Europe, and Asia as well. And then I've lived for the past 20, 25 or whatever years in the US. And I tell you that, you know, when you're outside of America, you hear the music, good Black music, and collaborations between different kinds of Americans, white Americans, Black Americans, Asian Americans, Native Americans, what have you. And you have this picture of American culture in your head. Okay, so you see the best of it, right? And when you come to Women of Color, no joke, that is the best of America.
Wow.
So
For sure.
All the good things you've ever heard growing up in the global world, right? My very first conference, I thought, wow, this is America at its best. This is the America I always saw growing up on TV, you know, and it just comes to life for you. So that for me, so it's like every year, it's like you're seeing America at its best.
Yeah, that's a great perspective. I think my favorite moment, it doesn't necessarily take place at the conference, but it was last year's Technologist of the Year, Dr. Pamela McCauley, and we went and did a photo shoot with her at the NSF headquarters in DC, and it was so much fun. A good friend of mine who's a photographer, a fellow Benazzi, was a photographer, and we did like this whole photo shoot. And just working with her that day, you know, we was laughing. There was a fire drill, and then we had to like evacuate the building and like pack up all the equipment and kind of go. Like it was the most insane and like weird, but it was also like just a great moment. And like you guys saw the magazine last year, just like those photos that was in it of her just smiling and glowing like all over the place. That was just a great day, and it was a great shot. And she was a great Technologist of the Year awardee. That was mine. I mean, that was just an amazing time.
Well, I'll tell you something. And now she's at a university running a whole. What is her title now?
She's the dean. I'm sorry, Dr. McCauley, for watching this. But she's the dean of. I forgot. Lango, do you remember?
So
her new title?
Something Dean, and she's been rocking and rolling.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's awesome. Like, whatever she's doing, she's knocking it out of the park. I tell you that. And that school is definitely lucky to have her, and those students are going to thrive under her leadership.
Oh, no question. No question.
Absolutely.
She used to be at the University of UC Florida, University of Central Florida, working down there, and then she went to the National Science Foundation. But she's been all over, doing all these programs, winning all these awards. She's amazing. She is just amazing. So it was wonderful to see her on the cover of last year's publication. There she is.
Oh yeah, you guys got to check out the magazine, because the Passing of the Torch story is a story we do every year that gives the past Technologists of the Year a chance to kind of reflect on that year of being a technologist, you know, the different responsibilities, you know, because they don't just win the award. Obviously, they win the award. They have to like show up. They have to give speeches. They gotta wear the crown.
Right.
and so
that works.
Yeah, and so they gotta kind of go forth and pass it. But the Passing the Torch story is her reflection on the year. You know, how it made her feel. You know, obviously in the moment you're over the moon. So you know, when they go and we interview them for this story, they have time to kind of step back and really give you the emotion and the feelings and the message that they were able to kind of grab from that experience.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, this is an incredible event, and I'm glad that we're all here. And it's great to share the stage with you all.
Mm-hmm. And it's a pleasure to be here with you and to share this stage. Can I give a homework assignment to our audience?
Oh, please. Do I have to write it down?
No. You don't have to. This is something fun, because you know, we're flipping through this magazine, and you guys, if you're here, if you're seeing us right now, you have access to the magazine via the virtual conference that we have. But I want to know, if you guys look through this magazine, you know, what's something that you enjoy about it? Tell us your reactions to this magazine. You just flipped past a good friend of mine, Simone Barkley, who works here at the aquarium, and she works with their educational program, and she talks about sharks, marine life. She's a biologist, and there aren't many people of color or many Black people in that field, and she is knocking it out of the park. But I do want you guys, if you guys go through the book and you have a favorite moment, to just let us know on social media. Use our hashtag Women of Color 2020, you know, hashtag WOC 2020, and just let us know what you like about it, or what you would like to see. I think that would be awesome to kind of just get some reactions and get your thoughts on it.
It's wonderful. It looks beautiful. I can't wait to get my copy.
Yeah. Also, I got to give another shout out to Beverly Wachowski, who is our art director. Who, if this is pleasing to your eyes, that's all Bev. And so, she has a great creative vision, and she's really taking these books to the next level. And so, whether it's Women of Color, Black Engineer, or our Hispanic Engineer magazine, they've really kind of stepped up to the next level, design wise, and And, every time we have this joke because every time we give her the content, she takes it, she visualizes it, and then she produces this magazine. And I go, Bev, that's dope. And like, when I use the word dope, like, I mean, that's like a highest compliment coming from me. And to the point that, like, I've said it so much, I don't want to dilute it. So I've been trying to find other words like magnificent, superb, like every time, but it's the truth. And like, I'm not just kind of like pumping it up. Like every time it's just like opening up in a new package or a new present or gift or something to see like, what she put together. So I do want to give her a shout out for that because these books look beautiful.
It really is. It's beautiful. So is Black Engineer. These are really wonderful. You guys do a great job. Congratulations to the two of you and the rest of the team. It's really wonderful.
Thank you, Marsha.
And to you. Yeah.
All right. So you've got a couple more days. What's on the agenda for you guys for the next couple of days?
So for me, you guys are probably going to be seeing my face throughout some of these programs or popping up as the virtual host for Women of Color, myself along with Courtney Taborn. And so we're just going to be popping up. You might just be scrolling through the app and there I am. Like, so that's good. I'm just going to call. I'm going to be working with you guys. Much like if it was a conference, many of you, if we were physically there, like you'll just see me running back and forth. And so I know we're digital, but basically instead of running, I'm just clicking from window to window. And so we're still doing the same thing. It's just digital.
That's right. Well, I'll tell you, and it's easy.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
I'm not getting my steps in, but I'll take it to substitute. I just got to wake up earlier and get a couple of miles.
That hotel in Detroit is big. I lose about 10 pounds every time I walk around there, man. It's great.
Or the trip to the convention center from the hotel. Right. That's like 3 blocks.
Right.
You definitely leave Detroit strong, I say.
That's exactly right. You have to build up those calves.
Yep.
All right, guys. Thank you so much, Lango. Hope to see you soon.
Hope to see you soon, Marsha. Have a great conference.
Okay. Take care.
Bye, guys.
Great. Thank you. Keep up the good work. This publication is fabulous. I love it. The content is over the moon.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we compliment a great event, so we it's really good. It's really good. Right. Thank you for all you do, Marsha. Thank you for all you do.
Keep it moving.
Keep it moving. Love y'all.
Love you too.
We'll be back with more information for the Women of Color 2020. This STEM conference is amazing. It's a virtual, but we're so used to using all types of internet and all kinds of programming at home. We have all kinds of the Zoom. We do the Zoom all day and have the meetings all day. We can do a conference. This is really easy. You can sit in and share spaces, and all these little rooms can make it happen. So I'm grateful that Career Communications Group has this wonderful platform. And I'm grateful that you all are with us. And we look forward to learning more about our attendees and more about what's going on at the conference. Thank you so much. I'm Marsha Juice, and we'll see you in a little bit.